Xiao Yan's foot had just stepped onto the cloud path staircase, and as he stepped on the seemingly translucent and illusory steps, an unreal sensation immediately surged, causing him to frown. This was because Xiao Yan clearly noticed that the cloud path staircase, which had previously seemed solid, became ethereal under his feet, even showing signs of dispersion. He feared that his body would cause it to collapse, just like those who had fallen before. Poof! Before Xiao Yan could ponder further, angry thunderous sounds erupted uncontrollably around him, bringing with them a force akin to the weight of several thousand tons of stones pressing down on him, greatly increasing the pressure. Move! Xiao Yan muttered, then activated the fiery explosion technique, attempting to quickly cross the cloud path staircase. Is it really this bad? The next moment, Xiao Yan realized that every step was incredibly difficult. Even with the boost from the fiery explosion technique, his movement was extremely slow. He even saw countless figures stumbling before him, falling to their doom in a tragic manner. Whoosh! With a sound, 7 mountain peaks appeared in a row at the top of the cloud path staircase, and a wave of oppressive force swept out. What on earth is going on? Xiao Yan stared at the cloud path staircase, not daring to move recklessly, and instead retreated. It seemed that this staircase was capable of devouring their dou qi, reducing them to the strength of mere mortals, forcing them to climb with the most primitive power. Whoosh whoosh. Moments later, Lu Hao and the others were bathed in a soft, white light. Their figures erupted, and they charged toward the sky with the speed of thunder, leaving everyone speechless. It seemed that they possessed a rare power that allowed them to escape the torment of this force. Oh, there are even people from the Holy See. How interesting. A sly-looking man hidden among the crowd sneered, his inner evil energy emitting a greedy aura. His gaze involuntarily pierced through the endless Gu realm, focusing on the holy land of the Gu clan, seemingly where his goal lay. 7-star Dou Xian? Xiao Yan frowned, clearly startled when Lu Hao's power surged earlier. The pressure of the 7-star Dou Xian had immediately overwhelmed him, leaving Xiao Yan quite surprised. A Holy See expert, 7-star Dou Xian, and such a young one at that, his status must be quite high. Boom! In the blink of an eye, several powerful figures followed Lu Hao's lead, wrapping their soul power around them. They gently tapped their toes on the cloud path staircase and headed toward the 7 mountain peaks at the top. Whoosh whoosh. Among these 7 peaks, there must be some hidden space, and the Guardian's strength doesn't seem to be low, but no matter. Xiao Yan had no hesitation and leaped directly into the clouds. On the 7 peaks surrounded by mist, countless mysterious forces circled around, slowly floating outside the Gu realm, guarding it. They were also the final guardians of this summit trial. The 7 peaks were arranged from low to high, and the strength of the peak guardians ranged from weak to strong. On the first peak, the ground was lush, surrounded by bamboo forests, and a young man sat quietly in the center. It seemed that this young man was the guardian of the first peak. 3-star Dou Xian? Xiao Yan looked at the young man before him and couldn't help but frown. Esteemed guest, this is the Gu clan's 7 peaks. If you don't possess sufficient strength to challenge us, there is no retreat, only life or death. I hope you reconsider, the young man said with a slight smile, his expression serious, and the warning in his tone was clear. Let's fight. Xiao Yan responded expressionlessly. Clearly, the so-called 7 peaks were not as terrifying as he had imagined. Originally, Xiao Yan had thought that the 7 peaks would be inhabited by esteemed figures, and with the Gu clan's foundation, he expected at least 5-star Dou Xian strength. But to his surprise, the first peak only had a 3-star Dou Xian. At this point, it seemed that he only needed to be wary of the last 2 peaks. Of course, each peak had a vastly different level of strength. Challenger, state your name, the young man said slowly, smiling faintly. Xiao Yan replied. As soon as his words fell, he waved his hand, sending a simple fire arc toward the young man. The terrifying destructive power caused the young man's expression to shift slightly, a look of shock appearing in his eyes. However, the flame merely stopped beside him. Xiao Yan had no intention of delivering a fatal blow, his purpose being intimidation. Can I enter the second peak now? Seeing the young man's astonished expression, Xiao Yin asked, "Xiao Yin." The young man muttered under his breath before waving his hand. A void appeared in front of him, clearly the entrance to the second peak. Whoosh whoosh. Seeing this, Xiao Yin turned into a brilliant fire arc and swiftly stepped through. The child of light of the holy sea. Xiao Yin. "I'm afraid the final peak will be quite the challenge," the young man said with a slow smile. He clearly recalled Xiao Yan's identity, as well as Lu Hao's obsession. The two were likely to engage in a real battle soon. Whoosh. Meanwhile, Xiao Yin charged through 5 peaks with ease, effortlessly breaking through them one by one as he made his way towards the 6th peak. The first peak, 3-star Do Xian. The second peak, 4-star Do Xian. The third peak, 5-star Do Xian. The fourth peak, 6-star Do Xian. The fifth peak, 7-star Do Xian. As for the 6th peak, it was expected to be home to a true 8-star Do Xian. Given that Xiao Yin had to conceal his sacred flame, dealing with a true 8-star Do Xian would clearly be far more difficult than before. Of course, this was also a test for Xiao Yin himself. If he could contend with a true 8-star Do Xian without using his sacred flame, then with it, his combat strength would be unimaginable. Where is everyone? Upon stepping into the 6th peak space, Xiao Yin looked around but saw no one. He couldn't help but murmur in confusion. The 6th peak was a vast sea. Xiao Yin was standing on a reef deep within the sea, surrounded by violent waves that crashed with a deafening roar, creating an almost suffocating atmosphere. "Heh, so you're one of those who broke through 5 peaks." A voice suddenly echoed as a middle-aged man emerged from the blue sea. He smiled slightly before speaking, his tone carrying a terrifying aura. Water-based Grand Heavenly Seed, early 8-star Do Xian strength. Xiao Yan's gaze fixed on the man, his pressure mounting. The water affinity the man controlled was even stronger than Xiao Yan's, who wasn't using the sacred flame. This was unprecedented. After a brief hesitation, Xiao Yan's eyes grew more intense. He believed that even without using the sacred flame, he still had the strength to fight an early 8-star Do Xian. Moreover, Xiao Yin was eager to test how far his control over the various powers he had mastered had come. Impressive willpower, but it's a pity. Your 6-star Do Xian strength is too weak, the middle-aged man said, slowly raising his hand. Around them, countless water curtains turned into water columns, shooting toward Xiao Yin with lightning speed. They were guardians, after all, whose job was to defeat those who dared challenge the peaks. Therefore, each attack was merciless. Nice try. Battle Soul. Xiao Yin snorted coldly. A vast wave of fire-based Do Qi surged out, and accompanying it was the ethereal image of the undying Netherworld Sparrow King. The massive soul shadow of the undying Netherworld Sparrow King surrounded Xiao Yin, its overwhelming presence radiating outward. The fiery great heavenly seed scarlet flame and the undying Netherworld Sparrow King's power resonated together, transforming Xiao Yan's body into an extraordinary sight of red and gray. Battle Soul? The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. He knew the might of a battle soul, but in the entire Great Thousand Worlds, there were few strong enough to spend the time hunting such a rare being. Chirp, chirp. The undying Netherworld Sparrow King's soul shadow seemed almost alive. With a powerful flap of its wings, countless feathers, tinged in red and gray flames, fell and flew toward the water columns, roaring fiercely. Boom, boom, boom. The two forces collided, causing a massive explosion in midair, the intense heat raising the temperature of the entire sea region. Well, watching Xiao Yan's sharp counterattack, the middle-aged man couldn't help but smile. He had guarded the 6th peak for centuries and seen countless people, but he had never encountered anyone as intelligent as Xiao Yan. He couldn't help but grow curious. After all, if Xiao Yan succeeded in breaking through and joining the Gu clan, even if he didn't become a core member, with such talent, his future achievements would be limitless. In turn, those guarding the peaks would also gain plenty of benefits. Senior, to be honest, I didn't come to join the Gu clan, but to find someone, Xiao Yan said, sensing the middle-aged man's admiration and halting his attack. With the power of his soul, Xiao could easily detect subtle changes in a person's heart. The middle-aged man was named Gu Qingfeng. Find someone? Gu Qingfeng's expression darkened as he asked, clearly puzzled. The Gu clan had been closed off for many years, and they hadn't had any contact with the outside world. For someone to come here looking for a person, I'm looking for an elder named Gu Yuan. Do you know him, Senior Gu Qingfeng? Xiao continued, his voice calm but firm. Kid, who is Gu Yuan to you? Upon hearing Xiao words, Gu Qingfeng's body trembled, and he lost his voice. Gu Yuan is a friend of my father. I came here to take them home. Xiao replied, but faintly sensed something wrong from Gu Qingfeng's unusual behavior. Kid, I initially wanted to recruit you into the Gu clan because of your extraordinary talent, but since you harbor ill intentions, you can only die now. After a pause, the smile on Gu Qingfeng's face slowly faded, replaced by a thick, murderous intent. Senior, what do you mean? Xiao obviously sensed something, but still played along, feigning surprise. The things you're asking about are top secrets of the Gu clan. They are not for you to know. Enough, it's time for you to leave. As soon as the words were spoken, ripples of water surged violently around Gu Qingfeng, and a brilliant attack began to take form. Quasi-immortal art. But it's useless against me. Xiao waved his hand, and the red flames around him were instantly replaced by amber-colored flames. A mighty aura, overwhelming the heavens and earth, surged forth. Sacred flame? Late 7-star Do Xian? Looking at the changes in Xiao Gu Qingfeng's voice trembled. Tell me, where are Gu Yuan and Gu Xun'er now? Xiao looked down from above, enveloping the area in the sacred flame's domain to prevent any power from leaking out. Gu Yuan is currently imprisoned. Not only Gu Yuan, but even Gu Xun'er's master, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, and all the core members of the direct line are now under house arrest in the Gu prison. At this moment, the overwhelming battle intent within Gu Qingfeng dissipated, and he trembled as he spoke. Then where is she? Xiao brows furrowed, clearly showing signs of anger. The amber flames on his body twisted violently, as if ready to take Gu Qingfeng's life at any moment. Gu Xun'er is exceptionally gifted, but ever since she entered the Holy Land several years ago, she has not been seen. I don't know if she is inheriting the legacy power or... Gu Qingfeng felt for the first time that death was so close. It seemed the amber flames surrounding Xiao could easily annihilate both his body and soul. Is there any way to reach the Holy Land or enter the Gu prison? Xiao asked. To enter the Holy Land requires the keys of 3 clan elders. Stealing them would be harder than reaching the heavens, but you can still go to the Gu prison, because the Supreme Heavenly Emperor controls another way to enter the Holy Land. But, at this moment, Gu Qingfeng hesitated. But what? Xiao focused his soul power on Gu Qingfeng's soul, noticing no change, and thus believed his words, for when humans lie, their soul power fluctuates slightly. Right now, the Gu clan is no longer as powerful as it once was. It seems to be sick. Gu Qingfeng spoke in a strangely eerie tone, with an air of foreboding. Sick? Xiao murmured, feeling a trace of disbelief. The Gu clan was guarded by reincarnation-level experts. Who would dare entertain any malicious thoughts towards such a powerful entity? Yes, the Gu clan is sick. At first, the clan leader and elders treated Gu Yuan and the others very well, but after they returned from a mission, their personalities changed drastically. After their return, they issued a series of absurd clan rules, and many direct line members were locked up in the Gu prison. The behavior of the clan leader and elders also seemed completely different, as if they were different people. Gu Qingfeng spoke intermittently, his voice filled with confusion. And you? Xiao seemed to have thought of something and asked. Those in the Gu clan and the clan's strong members who disobeyed the clan leader's orders were all locked in the Gu prison. After a long time, when they were released, whether in strength or temperament, they seemed like completely different people. As for us, who are outside the Gu realm, it hasn't affected us. Gu Qingfeng explained. It seems the Gu clan has attracted something unclean. Xiao nodded slowly. The demonic cube within him had grown increasingly greedy, as if something equally evil and corrupt lurked within the Gu realm. That kind of aura could only belong to the truly extraterritorial evil clan. The Gu clan is sick. This is indeed unfortunate news. After a pause, Xiao, to prevent Gu Qingfeng from leaking any information, directly bound him in place. After setting up more seals, he turned and headed for the 7th peak. Xiao had originally planned to bypass the 7th peak and directly ask the Gu clan's experts for permission to enter the Holy Land, but now it seemed he would have to change his strategy. He could only sneak into the Gu realm first, waiting for an opportunity to enter the Gu prison and rescue Gu Yuan and Gu Xun'er's master, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. I hope this guy can unravel their conspiracy, because the current Gu realm feels more like a desolate, eerie place that sends chills down the spine, Gu Qingfeng said slowly, standing in place and nodding. After a pause, at the 7th peak, "Old man, why haven't you started yet? What are you waiting for?" In a spacious circular fighting arena, Lu Hao's face tightened as he glared at the elderly man with white hair who was smiling slowly in front of him. He muttered under his breath, "Don't be impatient, little brat. Methods from past trials are getting old. Let's try something new today," the old man said, stroking his snowy beard, speaking in a pretentious tone. However, his strength was undeniable. He was at the peak of an 8-star Do Xian, and the oppressive aura he exuded was suffocating. With a sudden crack, the space before them split open, and Xiao figure slowly emerged. "He's here. Late stage 7-star Do Xian. Not bad, not bad," the white-haired elder said with a smile, instantly seeing through Xiao hidden movements. "This is?" Xiao asked, surprised as he looked at the elder and Lu Hao's impatient expression. "The trial at the 7th peak will be a battle between the two of you to decide the winner," the elder said with a smile. "Him?" Hearing the elder's words, Lu Hao's pressure grew immensely. His strength was only at the mid-stage of 7-star Do Xian, and facing Xiao would likely end badly for him. Moreover, if he used the Holy Sea's power, he feared others would accuse him of bullying his opponent. "What do you think?" After a brief pause, the elder smiled faintly. Clearly, he could sense that neither of the two in front of him were ordinary, and a good show was about to begin. "No problem." "Good." Both Xiao and Lu Hao nodded in unison. "In that case, let the battle begin," the elder said, his body merging seamlessly with the surrounding space, showing his mastery of spatial abilities. "You're strong, but you will die at my hands. If you know what's good for you, surrender," Lu Hao said coldly, his voice filled with disdain. He was clearly confident in his strength, but at this moment, he had forgotten that Xiao was the husband of the holy maiden of the Gu clan. If he had remembered, he would have used all his power to attempt to wipe Xiao out. No matter how strong Xiao was, so what? He was the child of light of the Holy Sea, someone who had studied the most elite techniques and skills from a young age, enjoying the best resources. In a sense, his position was above that of everyone else. On the other hand, Xiao was just an ordinary person, not even worthy of a battle. "I won't show you any mercy just because you're from the Holy Sea. If you're afraid of dying, then leave. Otherwise, your fate will be no different from dust," Xiao responded, shaking his head with a laugh at Lu Hao's provocation. Though Xiao didn't have Lu Hao's superior resources and conditions, years of battle had forced him to constantly fight on the edge of life and death. The bloodthirstiness Xiao had gained through these trials was something that no amount of pills or elixirs could compare to, and it was something that Lu Hao, as a sheltered flower, could never match. "Since that's the case, I won't hold back. Come forth." Lu Hao shrugged with a cold smile, then raised both hands. A loud, resounding voice swept across the entire space. Whoosh, whoosh. Countless beams of light descended, attaching themselves to Lu Hao's body, forming a radiant white light armor. Even a mystical, ancient light pattern appeared on his forehead, trembling slightly as if it were divine power granted by the gods, restless and eager to burst forth. That was the divine mark of the Child of Light. It was Lu Hao's final support. With the blessing of this divine mark, he could tap into angelic power. In times of crisis, he could even ignite the divine mark to sprout angelic wings, elevating him to new heights. However, such power would clearly not be used against Xiao. After all, this power was too formidable, and if he unleashed it, it would likely reach a level akin to the reincarnation realm. Even so, Xiao was not afraid. The aura of demonic power surrounding him was enough to give him the strength to face Lu Hao head-on. Angels and demons would ultimately clash one day. Come forth, fire. Xiao sneered. Profound flames like flashes of light enveloped his body, further intensifying his fiery aura. The sacred, inviolable aura of light and the incredibly scorching aura of sacred flames were like two ferocious beasts, each crouching on their respective masters. Himph! Mere sacred flames. How dare they compare to my dawn light? Holy light demon seal. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound echoed as streaks of uneven, pure white light spots cut through the sky, gently gathering towards Lu Hao's palm. The aura was overwhelming, surpassing the entire world. Under this surge of energy, elements like ice, water, wood, fire, and wind seemed utterly powerless, unable to withstand even a single blow. A breath later, a soul mountain, completely white, rapidly expanded and swelled in Xiao pupils. It then shot towards him. Hoo-hoo! As Lu Hao's attack drew near, a calm and unafraid aura erupted from within Xiao body. At the same time, the demonic cube inside him also sensed the presence of a sworn enemy, growing restless. This power, you won't need to make a move. Holy flame shield. Xiao shouted, suppressing the demonic cube. In an instant, amber flames surged in front of him, forming countless gigantic amber light shields stretching thousands of feet wide. The milky white soul mountain slowly expanded, and with every inch it descended, the entire battlefield trembled in unison. The sacred, pure, and overwhelming pressure within it made the very void quiver. Protect me, Xiao roared, pushing his body to its limit. Although he had few dose skills at his disposal, the might of the sacred flame was not something mere light attributes could compare to. Boom, boom, boom. As the soul mountain descended upon Xiao amber light shields, violent energy ripples surged outward. It was as if it had sunk into a vicious, snarling quagmire, firmly held in place by the flaming shields and unable to move. For a moment, the soul mountain shook violently, countless streams of energy cascaded downward, yet it still couldn't break through the defense of the flame shields. In fact, the intense force was slowly dissipating, neutralized by the flame shields. However, the energy ripples generated by the collision of attack and defense were enormous, exploding outward in all directions, filling the air with pressure that shattered the calm of the space. This guy, his mastery of fire control is terrifying. At this moment, Lu Hao's radiant armor emitted translucent energy, enveloping his body to protect him from the shockwaves caused by the explosion of the two attacks. The gentle halo reflected countless beams of pure white light, making the entire space feel immensely oppressive. Lu Hao observed calmly, unaffected by the chaotic attacks before him. The two attacks didn't remain locked for long before they exploded apart, signaling the first encounter ended in a stalemate. Though surprised, Lu Hao understood that Xiao, wielding the sacred flame and possessing the strength of a late 7-star Douxian, was far from simple. Achieving such an even outcome was to be expected. However, to become the victor and fulfill his request to meet Xun'er, he would not allow Xiao to win. Heavenly King Seal. At the moment of hesitation, Xiao's body moved like a phantom, using his spatial transference seal. In the blink of an eye, he flashed behind Lu Hao, his hands coming together in a mystical ancient seal. A terrifying force surged out, accompanied by the crushing power of this seal. Whoosh! The screeching energy, mixed with an ancient inscription, blasted towards Lu Hao like a thunderbolt. With such close proximity, Lu Hao's pores stood on end, a pressure bearing down upon him. Himph! Lu Hao hadn't expected Xiao's control over the battlefield to be so precise. The attack forced him to hesitate for a moment, only to be caught off guard by Xiao's sudden strike. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless beams of light flickered into existence, falling like raindrops, and immediately responded to the radiant armor on Lu Hao's body, directly piercing through the powerful Heavenly King seal, scattering it into fragments. Such terror? Xiao frowned upon seeing this. His figure retreated, unable to continue his attack in time. Each raindrop-like beam that touched his skin brought intense burning pain, causing him to slightly grimace. If this continues, things could go south. Xiao muttered, his eyes narrowing as he carefully observed Lu Hao. It could be said without hesitation that Lu Hao, with the power of a mid-7-star Do Xian, had his strength augmented by his light attributes, making him comparable to an early-stage 8-star Do Xian expert. If Xiao weren't wary of the unknown strong figures in the Gu realm and the guardians of the 7th peak, he would have already used his full power to eliminate Lu Hao. Since you're not making a move, then be careful. Lu Hao's anger boiled as countless light spots began to slowly wriggle. Moments later, they transformed into an incredibly powerful beam of light, manifesting as a sword of light on his arm. The sword gleamed in milky white, emanating a pure power like the morning sun. Clang, clang. The radiant light sword swung slowly, each slash creating a series of sounds as it clashed with the air. In his eyes, a cold, murderous intent flickered. Clearly, Lu Hao had been provoked by Xiao. Lu Hao's figure was as light as dust. With a tap of his toes, like a fierce beast, he lunged toward Xiao, wielding the radiant light sword and aiming to strike. The aura of that strike, the overwhelming power emanating from the radiant light sword, was unstoppable. Indeed, the light attribute lives up to its reputation. 4 fingers of the firmament, 3 fists of creation. Xiao expression turned solemn, showing no fear. His hands and fists glowed with deep energy, already gathered and ready to unleash. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening sound echoed as waves of energy rippled outward. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, all of Xiao attacks landed on the blade of the radiant light sword. As the sword cut through the air, Xiao seemingly powerful 4 fingers and 3 fists were instantly shattered. Those skills, At this moment, Xiao shook his head helplessly. It seemed that the Do skills he had learned no longer matched his current pace. He would need to quickly fill this gap. The 7-star Do Xian and 8-star Do Xian could already wield immortal arts, but Xiao only possessed a single defensive quasi-immortal art. As for the flame-swallowing technique, it seemed to be out of the question. Boy, perish! Seeing Xiao give up on resisting, Lu Hao let out a shout. With another tap of his toes, he used the power of his legs to propel himself into the air, charging at Xiao. The shouts of slaughter filled the air, making one's heart race with fear. Ghostly echoing heavenly illusions. Just as Lu Hao thought victory was in his grasp, a clear, crisp cry rang out. Not good. Lu Hao was no amateur. Sensing the strange sound, he immediately retreated, creating an energy barrier of Do Qi around his body, trying to resist it. Take my palm. Xiao would never let such a great opportunity slip by. With a sudden lunge, he gathered his energy and launched a powerful palm strike. In an instant, a terrifying wave of energy surged outward. Lu Hao's figure was forcefully knocked away by Xiao palm, and had it not been for his light armor, that blow would have severely injured him. You have some strength, but let's see how you deal with this next. Light Jade Immortal Token. With a cold snort, Lu Hao was enveloped in a beam of light stretching thousands of feet. Even the surrounding void seemed to quiet, with energy slowly converging toward him. Brilliant light soared into the sky, shaking the entire battle arena. The void shattered, making the blood in everyone's veins burn with heat. This time, let's see how you handle it. Lu Hao smiled faintly, walking steadily toward Xiao. The beam of light above his head gradually shrank, revealing an oval-shaped light token engraved with the character Light. Even a slight touch of its radiance could obliterate one's soul. A peak sacred tier Do skill, and it's able to cause such a cosmic phenomenon. Xiao eyes flickered with fiery light. His hands clasped together in a dazzling display, with waves of blazing flame swirling around him, forming a quiet yet intense aura. The flames enveloped his body like a fiery spirit dancing in the flames, exuding an eerie beauty. This time, you will only fail. There can be only one victor, and that will be me. Lu Hao's expression grew serious. He exerted all his strength, removing the circular light jade immortal token hovering above his head. His eyes burned with endless radiance as he raised both hands, then hurled the token directly at Xiao Yin. At that moment, the void trembled, and countless energies dissipated. Even Xiao Yan's body became momentarily frozen by the force of this power. Four-color Buddha's fury reincarnation. Bloom for me. Xiao Yin grinned coldly, exuding an aura of calm indifference despite the crisis. Boom. The four-color fire lotus and the light jade immortal token collided, shattering the entire battle arena. Waves of terrifying energy swept outward, filling the air with a heart-stopping intensity.